Hello, hello friends. My name is John Bintin, and I'm going to report about environmental disasters. Now, first is the Exxon-Valdez oil spill. What is the Exxon-Valdez oil spill? Okay. On March 23, 1989, the Exxon-Valdez, an oil spill supertanker, operated on Exxon and under the command of Captain Joseph J. Hazelwood, departed the port of Valdez from the Trans-Alaska Pipeline Terminal at 9:12 p.m., headed for Long Beach, California, with 53,094,510 gallons of oil on board. Shortly after midnight on March 24, 1989, the supertanker collided with Bligh Reef, a well-known navigation hazard, and it ruptured 8 of its 11 cargo tanks and spilled 11 million gallons of crude oil into the pristine waters of Prince William Sound. The result was catastrophic. Although the spill was radioed in shortly after the collision of Exxon's response was slow. In fact, there was no recovery effort for 3 days while Exxon searched for cleanup equipment. During that time, millions of gallons of oil began to spread down the coast. Days later, as the cleanup effort began, the oil slick was no longer containable. It eventually extended for 170 miles to the southwest, contaminated hundreds of miles of coastline and utterly destroyed the ecosystem. As you can see, that's the picture of the Exxon-Valdez. And in the blue areas of the picture, that's the stretch or the range where the oil spill has begun until in this part. So from the port of Valdez and until here. So it's very wide, and there's effect many animals have died, and thousands of men and crews of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline have cleaned the beaches of Alaska and affected areas. Here you can see a bird covered in oil spill. So, what are the probable causes of the ground by the National Transportation Safety? The failure of the third mate to properly maneuver the vessel, possibly due to fatigue and excessive workload, and also the failure of the master to provide a proper navigation watch, possibly due to impairment from alcohol, and failure of Exxon Shipping Company to supervise the master and provide a rested and sufficient crew for Exxon Valdez, and failure of the U.S. Coast Guard to provide an effective vessel traffic system, and the lack of effective pilot and escort services. But what really happened? So this is the root cause. In 1972, Congress authorized the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. This allowed oil companies, including Exxon, to access the crude oil from Alaska's North Slope and transport it to the lower 48 states. Exxon, along with the rest of the oil industry, knew that navigating a large supertanker through the icy and treacherous waters of Prince William was extremely complicated. The contingency plan in place at the time acknowledged that a spill over 8.4 million gallons of oil could not be contained and would result in long-term consequences. And they are also aware that Alaska was not capable of containing an oil spill that large. Despite the risk of a spill, Exxon knowingly allowed Captain Hazelwood, a relapsed alcoholic, to command its supertanker through these treacherous waters. 3 years before the spill, Exxon officials ignored repeated reports of Hazelwood's relapse and failed to enforce its substance abuse policies. And on the evening of March 23, 1989, Hazelwood visited 2 local bars and consumed between 5 and 9 double shots before boarding the ship. In his drunken state, he turned the helm over a fatigued third mate who was not qualified to steer the ship. So what really happened is there is already a history of Captain Hazelwood being an alcoholic and being and violating some laws, but they still let Captain Hazelwood to steer the ship, or rather to command the ship. And that time, in his drunken state, he he passed it to his third mate, who was really fatigued, and it's really the cause why the disaster happened. So as you can see, this big one is the Exxon-Valdez, which is spilling oil in that time. And there you can see the worker, and you can see the extent of the oil spill. Here is a top view of the oil spill. As you can see, covers such a large area. Here you can see another picture where many workers are cleaning up the beaches, and as you can see, the beaches covered in crude oil as a result of the oil spill. And here, more of affected beaches in Alaska. And this one is another aerial view of the cleaning in the seas and oceans in Alaska. So as you can see, it's really hard to clean an oil spill in such a large area, and that's a lot of work. And here you can see this is the Exxon-Valdez cargo ship, container ship rather, and spilling oil in the ocean. So there you can see their equipment. How that's how they collect and yeah, contain the spilled oil. Here's another area view, and those ships are responsible for yeah for cleaning the beaches. That's how they clean the affected areas. So what are the effects on Alaska of this said oil spill? First, fisheries for salmon, herring crab, shrimp, rockfish, and sablefish were closed, with some shrimp and some commercial fisheries remaining closed through 1990. Over 2,000 Alaskan Native Americans and 13,000 other subsistence permit holders lost the source of their food. The tourism industry immediately lost over 26,000 jobs and more than 2.4 billion in sales. So you can see the wild animals that was clearly affected by the oil spill. Many many animals have died because of it. Yeah. Another, what's the economic impact of wildlife loss? So there's an estimated 250,000 seabirds, 2,800 sea otters, and 300 harbor seals were killed in the immediate aftermath, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. Nearly 30 years later after the spill, about 20 acres of Prince William Sound shoreline are still contaminated with 21,000 gallons of oil. It is decomposing no more than 4.0% a year. It could take centuries to completely dissipate. So more of the sea otters, dead sea otters, sadly. Yes, and more sea otters and birds and all sorts of animals. So the cleanup cost for Exxon for the Exxon spent over 3.8 billion to clean up the site and to compensate the 11,000 residents and pay fines. The Alaskan court ordered Exxon to pay 5 billion in punitive damages in 1994. So how was the spill cleaned up? It took more than 4 summers of cleanup efforts before the effort was called off. At its peak, the cleanup effort included 10,000 workers, about 1,000 boats, and roughly 100 planes and helicopters. So the cleanup was really hard, and considering the areas affected, such so wide, so it's really hard. And remember that I said, well, after more than a decade, the result of the spill is still evident. It was not completely cleaned up, and if you dug a hole like in the pictures shown, the some of the oil still seeps through it in the dug hole. So it, until now, the effects is look still evident. So what's the punishment of the captain? Well, the state charged him with operating a vessel while under the influence of alcohol. A jury in Alaska, however, found him not guilty of that charge. It's quite unfair, right? Well, and Hazelwood was fined $50,000 and sentenced to 1,000 hours of community service in Alaska. He picked up trash along the Seaward Highway and worked at Bean's Cafe, a soup kitchen for the homeless in Anchorage, Alaska. Considering the damage caused by the oil spill, it was his responsibility, but look at the punishment. It's really, I think, it's not enough, and it's like I was expecting honestly of heavier punishment for the captain because it's his responsibility why it happened, and also the company. But I don't think if the punishment for him was not enough. Well, it's done. What's done is done. Next is the Love Canal, another environmental disaster. Second, two of three of my report about environmental disaster. So, what is the Love Canal? In 1894 rather, entrepreneur William T. Love began building a canal to connect the Niagara River to Lake Ontario. The canal was to provide water and hydroelectric power for the city of Niagara Falls, New York. Love sold his partially completed 16-acre canal at public auction in 1920. There was a nationwide depression that had left him short of funds, and the invention of alternating electrical current had rendered his hydroelectric project obsolete. Well, William T. Love intention for building this is uh, really for the sake of the people. His thoughts are on the people. That's why he built this canal for the benefit of the community. But due to some circumstances, it led him to sell his uh, partially completed canal in a public auction. And the one who acquired it is the Hooker Chemical and Plastic Corporation. It was later known as Hooker Chemical Corporation acquired. Yeah. So the company acquired the use of this site for private use in 1947 and buried 21,000 tons of toxic waste there over the next 5 years. After the site was filled, Hooker filed the canal in 1952. During this period, the Niagara population was rapidly expanding and the city was desperate for land. The cities bought the Love Canal for ridiculously $1, considering. Wait, later I will explain. The corporation added a caveat highlighting the priorities of the site. There's some article that said it was used by the US military and they used it as a dump site for their experimentation. Other toxic waste was dumped there. So after the city has bought that piece of land, they began building communities, houses in that area, and the population in that area is expanding. So the subsequent construction of the school punctured a copper barrier Hooker had used the company to contain the chemical wastes. Additionally, sewers were constructed around the site as well, and after it, health reports and strange odors were reported the following years, but not until the president of the Love Canal Home Builders Association, Louis Gibbs, investigated uh, and the severity of this situation, they realized it. The homeowners, and many were sick, were fought by both Hooker's parent company and government and were not allowed to relocate with compensation until national attention on Love Canal intensified. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter declared the site a federal emergency area. Because of it, scientists were brought in and were able to determine that the chemicals dumped seep, seeped into basements and the air and were responsible for the ill health of the residents. The toxic waste resulted in the model city being almost completely abandoned. The toxic waste began to leach into homes, pools, backyards, and playgrounds. Children often had burns on their hands after playing outside in the Love Canal area. So the US military is involved in this, so that's why it was not immediately addressed. The problem was not immediate until it gained the media's attention, and that's only when they allowed to relocate the families and people affected in there. So over 800 families are located, and the Environmental Protection Agency sued Hooker's parent company, then Occidental Petroleum, for $129 million. The cleanup site was the flagship of the Superfund program. The Environmental Protection Agency cleaned up to 21 tons of toxic chemicals on the 16-acre site. So, as you can see, that's the stretch, or that's how wide the, or rather the families and people affected. So, we got some pictures of the love canal, the people begging and protesting. So, as you can see, love canal recipe: mix 82 chemicals, place in canal for 25 years, and then, yeah, your sickness was the, and here another one. You've got better things to do than sit around and be contaminated. Love canal. So it was closed. As you can see, Miller Springs Remediation Management. Niagara Falls, So some facts about the love canal. 33% of the residents experienced chromosome damage, while miscarriage rates increased, birth defects increased, cancers increased, and the government bought out homeowners to enable them to move away from the contamination. There have been more than 248 different chemicals discovered in the area of Love Canal. So that's very many. Waste that made it into the Love Canal included waste from the chemical warfare experiments carried out by the United States Army. So yeah, what I said a while ago, eh, the U.S. military is involved in this. Next, Bhopal incident. So this happened in India. So the world's worst industrial disaster ever took place in Bhopal, India on December 2, 1984, when lethal methyl isocyanate or MIC gas from a Union Carbide pesticide plant blanketed the city, killing 16,000 to 30,000 people and injuring 500,000 others. So as you can see, the gate to the Union Carbide, the company. Union Carbide was one of the first American companies to invest in India. It's an American-owned company located in India. It set up the Bhopal factory in 1980 to produce the powerful pesticide Sevin and help the country's agricultural sector increase its productivity and contribute more significantly to meeting the food needs of one of the world's most heavily populated regions. But the accident happened. The MIC gas did damage was used to make pesticides. 27 tons of it leaked out of the large storage tank after an explosion and drifted over Bhopal neighborhoods near the factory while people were sleeping. People awoke gasping and choking on their own body fluids. The tank was 90% full even though safety regulations specified it to never be more than half full. At the Union Carbide facility in West Virginia, is kept in small concentration to minimize the risk. So what happened is there's there's been an anomaly in the factory. No, rather in the yes in the pesticide company. There's been an explosion, and the the incident affected the people living near the factory. In India, most people live around the Union Carbide where they made the pesticides, and when the accident happened, so the people there were affected. So the deaths and injuries caused by Bhopal disaster. As you can see, some pictures of people sadly affected. There are a lot of people, mostly the poor or squatters. Yeah. So before that, so the deaths and injuries caused by Bhopal disaster. Bhopal was home to around 800,000 people. Around 3,000 died immediately, and another 4,000 to 7,000 died in the next few days, many in horrible agony. According to Amnesty International, another 15,000 um, died years later from cancer, tuberculosis, gy- gynecological diseases, and other illnesses. In the early 2000s, 10 to 15 people died from poison-related diseases every month. Tens of thousands suffered from blindness and ulcers. As of 2004, an estimated 100,000 people were disabled or living with chronic illnesses of the eyes and lungs and diseases related to the disaster. Many suffered pain and misery on a daily basis. Around 150,000 required some type of long-term medical care. There have also been problems of infertility and birth defects. Children born in Bhopal are often underweight and have unusually small heads and high rates of extra or joined fingers and toes, CIs and fluid in the brain. So, what's the compensation for? So, Union Carbide paid out a world record $470 million in compensation for the Bhopal disaster. The Supreme Court of India issued a decision on the matter in February 1989. There were 400,000 claimants for 3,350 of the people who died. The state of Madhya Pradesh took responsibility for cleaning up the site. Activists claimed that compensation was much less than it should have been. It was based on 3,350 dead, not 16,000 to 30,000 that are estimated to have died. The activists also object to the fact that agreement was made between Union Carbide and the government was not between the company and the victims. Much of this money never found its way to the victims because it was still tied up in the courts and was held by the Indian government while politicians argued what should be done with the money. As of 2000, a modern hospital funded by Union Carbide had not yet opened. In July 2004, the Indian Supreme Court ruled that $357 million in compensation should be distributed directly to victims and no longer held up in courts. So, as you can see, the people were really not they did not receive help really from the Bhopal incident from Union Carbide, and the compensation is not enough. And as you can see, those are protesters took well 30 years, as they said, 30 years of lies, 30 years of downplayed play, and 30 years of injustice. Still, that concludes my report. Thank you for listening.